You either use the internet for fun or you use the internet to grow. You're here to grow. Welcome to TRS Clips. What's up in China, according to you? Like, what's gonna happen?
If they don't get rid of that president of theirs, they are in trouble.
Okay.
He's just started his third term. Again, like we discussed, there are some leaders who believe that they come with a higher purpose and they sort of become delusional. And he's just announced his new team, and the 7 top men in the Chinese government now have been handpicked by Xi Jinping, and their only claim to fame is that they're loyal to him, right? Their positions are tied to their loyalty to the president. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. For long, he's been called the chairman of everything. He controls every important body, political, military, or economic. And he's irrational, erratic, unpredictable. China's story is basically the story of its economy rising and then the political aspirations following. So Mao Zedong had his own ideas about what would work and what wouldn't, and some of them were crazy. And we saw the Cultural Revolution and the Long March and the things that he made people do. And then during Deng Xiaoping's era, they sort of got their act together. And this is a leader who told the Chinese to hide their strength and bide their time. That's the slogan he gave them. Just put your heads down and do your work. And there were some rules put in place on how long a president could serve and what sort of committees would be there. China calls itself a democracy, but has largely been an authoritarian state with very limited democracy, if at all. There isn't any now. But they made a lot of progress. And the leadership thought that if you give a certain standard of living and economic progress, then people will not ask for political freedoms. That is the bargain. It worked till it worked. And then you had someone like Xi Jinping who came on the scene and who said, first of all, I will get rid of the military leaders. That purge that he started in the name of fighting corruption has been on, and tens of thousands of leaders, military officials, government officials have been purged. He has slowly but surely consolidated power to a point where no one can question what he's doing. So for months, there's going to be zero COVID and all of Shanghai is going to be locked down. And there is no question that is being asked on why this is being done. How does it serve our purpose? Suddenly, there's no zero COVID. Let's open everything. And people are dying left, right, and center. Your economy is in a very bad shape. Your geopolitical relationships are all suffering. You truly think you're at the center of the world. They had this idea of being called the Middle Kingdom. We are the ones that link earth with heaven. He's taken it very seriously. But if China does not export to the world, then it's the end of the China story. And if countries consciously and in very large numbers stop buying from China and truly diversify their supplies, then how are they going to redeem themselves? So they're in a very, very precarious situation right now.
And you anticipate the people are not going to continue?
Beyond a point, why will they? Why will they? Do you know China spends more on internal security than on the military outside? Their leaders are very scared about protests at home.
What do you think is going to happen in the 20s and probably when the 30s begin?
I think there's a real risk of war with Taiwan. I think that's topmost on their agenda. They really want to. They've made it about their prestige, and they want to do with Taiwan what they did with Hong Kong. I've been to Hong Kong too. I've seen the beautiful city that it was and now what it has become. So I don't see the expansionism abating. I think that it's only this whole, while their diplomacy is changing tactics. They used to be called the wolf warriors. They would go everywhere, say all sorts of things to people. Now they're toning it down, taking a softer approach, even projecting themselves as victims and saying, we are not the wolves. We are dancing with the wolves, which is America and the rest. But I think there is this attempt to power grab and grab land is very much there. The worrying part is what is happening on the border with India. That situation is far from resolved. We've had multiple rounds of talks. Despite everything, China remains our biggest trading partner. And that's not a good place to be in. Diversification and building alternatives cannot happen overnight. It'll take time. So we have to bide our time, keep up our defenses, and become self-reliant or Atmanirbhar, as they say in the government. I don't see the Chinese political thinking shifting significantly.
Atmanirbhar Bharat is actually a strong geopolitical move.
It is.
It's an out-and-out geopolitical move, but to be able to be digested by the masses, you have to brand it in a certain way. It's effectively what it is. We need to stop relying on China because...
But we can't stop relying on China, not yet.
Over the next decade.
At the height of this whole Galwan thing, I remember, and this was also during the lockdowns and the intermittent whatever periods, and I was at a neighborhood toy shop, and there was this kid, he must have not been more than 10 or 11 years old, who would come to buy something with his father. I think he wanted to buy a racket. And every time the shopkeeper gave him something, he's like, "Na, ye to made in China hai." But he said, "Made in India hai hi nahi mere paas." So as a concept, we may all agree that we don't want to buy those things. But what is the alternative? Are we creating enough options? So it's going to take time, I think.
New clips released at the same time that a podcast releases. This is TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe.